when we consider lucid dreaming, is the fact that you reach a state after REM sleep. Allowing the subconscious to bring forward to the conscious that which we need to deal with in our lives. And that's clever. This is a rare window of opportunity that we can have. I'm sure through meditation and other states that one, and I know that one is able to reproduce these kind of situations, but there is something particular about the dream, the lucid dream. Some people with traumatic event histories in their lives, some of it with full-blown post-traumatic stress disorder, have been able to heal themselves. And the question is how and then why. The how is, as I see it, is that in this process of connecting the conscious and the unconscious, the dreamer can then activate themselves and the scenario in which they see themselves, whether that be symbolically or in their own person, and working with that scenario to create a different situation for themselves. Equally, it's also about confronting the experience that they have been avoiding. Because arousal is one stage, the next one is a suppression of unwanted emotion. The third one is intrusive thought, which actually comes in the form of dream as well as awakening. And then the fourth one is avoidance. So these are the behaviors that people demonstrate when they have post-traumatic stress disorder, but also when we are traumatized, usually through humiliation. You know, your brain doesn't distinguish between the two, and it's all to do with the feeling. So what I see happening in the lucid dream is that there is an opportunity for the person to actually reframe what psychologists call that schematic experience, that collection of experiences, from a negative into a positive way. But also there is a physiological release. And it's the physiological release that starts the whole process. And once you get the physiological desensitization, as we call it, then that allows the activation from the freeze sensation to begin again and finish the whole process of deactivation through the parasympathetic nervous system. When that takes place, the two then hemispheres of the brain, left and right, begin to reconnect for that specific memory and create new neural pathways in the brain, which then allow you to be normalized. In other words, your brain still has the memory of the event, but you don't experience the negative feelings. The other part of what I describe as brain spotting is that the reason that brain spotting works is because we create a triangulation of three elements: the physical, the emotional, and the cognitive. And so we look at the physiological experience of the trauma, which could be felt as a stomach ache or palpitations, the negative emotion relating to that specific memory, which is, I didn't like having black coffee spilt over me and I was really angry. And the negative cognition would be, I'm frightened of going into restaurants. When you have these three elements for this specific negative memory, I call this a triangulation. And when we're map reading, we work with triangulation points. And so when you have the 3 points, you actually then get a central point, the triangulation point. And this is exactly what happens in the brain, is that when you use a live MRI, when someone talks about a traumatic experience, the triangulation point of these three elements lights up, and that's the spot in the brain where this memory is held. The second thing then is we discover in brain spotting that we can find a specific eye position which then relates to that specific memory, the brain spot. And the eye position directly relates to that memory, and when you hold it, it starts to desensitize the physiological element of the trauma. When that begins, the brain automatically reprocesses the original information. Just as an advancement on this particular process, we also use something called bilateral sound. It's like stereophonic music. And what that does is the sound moving left to right, speeds up the desensitization and speeds up the reprocessing. What I've seen in the 4 years that I've probably seen in excess of 400 people now that I've worked with using brain spotting. And it's achieved for them amazing results. I worked with an Olympic athlete with 5 head injuries with accumulative concussion. And we were able to actually remove the concussions from her brain so that she was able to compete in the Olympics and medal. And I can talk about that because it's in the public domain. So when healing like that takes place, somatic experience is a third dimension. In other words, it's a physiological experience like massage that can help to allow the body and the brain to release physiological components of trauma. So what I see in lucid dreaming is, and I liken it to brain spotting is in terms of discovery, because it's not something that I was aware of. I've been interested in dreaming and dream interpretation a la Freud. And of course there's a lot of symbolism in dream. And in imagery, we work a great deal with symbolic representations. And that's how these symbolic representations in lucid dream are the mirrors that we hold in front of ourselves. And ordinarily, we only see these mirrors when we're actually interacting with other people who are giving feedback on ourselves. And because we, in essence, have a fixed mindset based upon our experience, we can only think about the world based upon that experience. And it's when we talk with other people that we get a different perception of the same kind of things. And the way that Jung describes the unconscious, and we have this amazing capacity to bring to our conscious selves those things that we need to deal with. And so I see the lucid dream as a combination of allowing the subconscious to bring forward to the conscious that which we need to deal with in our lives. Then the dream itself brings the symbolic representations, which are mirrors, and mirrors that we can then see in a way that expands our mindset. And in fact, we can develop what's called a growth mindset, so that you actually want to learn more. And so by using the lucid dream, you're expanding your capability for insight, but you're also doing something practical, which is actually physiologically releasing traumatic experience, which allows your brain to then fix itself. So it then allows you to think differently, to feel differently, and to behave differently. It's a wake-up call.